here at some point. We promise. Let's wait till we get to 100 folks, and then we will get started. Thank you everybody for coming. This is great. If you're in your trial, I really recommend that you watch this at least before the trial's up. Give it a chance. If you're a seasoned user, you should stick around. We're going to try to cover stuff that applies to everybody. It is targeted for newer people. We're going to go over some basic stuff, but for the most part, anybody can benefit from this. And if you're in the trial, it's super important that you pay super close attention. With Q4 coming up, this software it's very important that you understand how to use it sooner rather than later. Because Q4, if it's your first Q4, it is a time like you wouldn't believe. Tactical arbitrage is going to be a gigantic factor in your success. Anybody who used TA last year knows that. So, Alex, are you ready to get started? Because we got about 107 people in here live. That's awesome.
That's great, guys. So there's one of the things we were talking about before is just newborn babies and things, and I guess that's been one of the factors that slowed me down in releasing all of the promotional instructional videos for how to best operate TA. Now, every single facet of tactical arbitrage and the use of TA has been covered on every single video. There's a video for everything out there. It's just some of that is wrapped around the old design. And because you're seeing it in the old design, even though it's all the exact same filters and fields and buttons to press on screen, some people are like a little confused, and so they would prefer to see the same sort of content in the new design format. But there's nothing to stop you from going back and watching, say, some of Christopher Grant's videos, and he's made an excellent series on how to operate tactical arbitrage in a profitable manner. And I believe, Chris, your recent training series was all done using the new design as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay, so there's plenty of content out there, and you can reach out to Chris in your own time if you be interested in getting some of that training content. Or there's lots of free stuff on YouTube, and I think his stuff there's a little bit of paid stuff, but it's super cheap. And I'm also creating some training content at the moment. I just hired a new guy today. You can't see in the background here because we're on the triple screen, but I've got a new desk just set up and a new computer for a new guy who starts on Monday. He's going to be in here with me, and we're going to go through and we're going to pump out this training series in no time. With minimal beer. Yeah, I'd love for you guys to be here, and just we would get no work done at all. It'd be bad. We'd be like hitting 11 o'clock and go, gee, the pub's open. We should duck down and grab a beer.
We'll be back by 12.
All right, guys. Well, we can keep this super organic. There's some questions that have rolled in. Nate's got some questions already there. Chris has a lot of answers to a lot of this stuff as well. I'm going to do some screen sharing and show some stuff. We're just going to keep this nice and flowing and just hopefully answer a lot of the questions that you've got as newbies. It's important that I at least have, there'll be like a 10 or 15 minute monologue from me where I just show my screen and show the basics of operating a product search. Anybody who's seasoned tactical arbitrage user is going to find that a bit boring because you will know that stuff backwards and sideways and new to it. Hopefully you'll get something out of that content as well. Probably going to touch on a new feature that we've got coming out today as well, which is going to be super good for newbies, which is going to make running searches just as simple as just hitting a couple of buttons and just bang, you're running a search. So that is days away, that one. That's something that I've been creating and had a little bit of input and help from a guy who's becoming very active in the FBA community called Javier San Juan. His Tactical Bucket group has got some API access into Tactical Arbitrage now and helping us by injecting bulk lists into TA. So I'll show that feature as well. If when I'm screen sharing, I won't be able to see any of the questions come in. So if Chris or Nate, you can shout out stuff about that. And another thing we want to talk about as well is, particularly for newbies, is a feature called an add-on called Storefront Stalker that if you use within Tactical Arbitrage, you'll unlock a lot of additional features for your Amazon flips, your reverse searches, and library searches within TA, and you'll make those pages a hell of a lot more powerful. It's pretty much the only inside TA add-on you can buy. Tactical Arbitrage is not like, we don't aspire to be like those little mobile video games that you buy where you've got to buy heaps of donuts to build your Quickie Marts in The Simpsons or anything like that. But there is one add-on that I do strongly recommend that all users at some point get when they're comfortable with Tactical Arbitrage, and we'll show you what that unlocks if you use that feature. So lots of stuff to cover. I've got my can of Pepsi and my water, and these guys are here to help, and Nate can do a bit of the hosting, and Chris can do a bit of the answering, and we can all just mix it up and yeah, see how we go. So how do you want to start this, Nate?
I think it's
pre-questions, don't you?
Yeah, so we had a couple of questions that people had asked earlier on in the day. Let me pull some of those up, and we'll kind of go through them. I tried to answer some of them with text as replies right there on the group, but some of them I think merit a full answer to everybody. So let me get into those. Give me 1 second. All right. The number one question was, where's the link? How do I get into the webinar? What time is the webinar? All right. What time is tonight's webinar? All right. So the big thing I think a lot of people want to know is their settings. What should they do for setting their parameters? And as far as the answer to that goes, I think you can expand on a little bit more. But one thing that I've noticed that even seasoned users aren't doing as much as they should, and this applies so much to the new folks because there's a lot of people who just started selling on Amazon, and that's why they're just now starting on TA because it's been around now for over a year, year and a half. So there's a lot of people who are new to not just Tactical Arbitrage but new to Amazon, so they have a lot of gated brands and gated products. So I think it's important before we even start talking about all of the parameters and settings that you put in before you run a scan that we talk, or I'm sorry, before we start about the parameters on an actual scan, we should talk about the settings and what people can do. Because I know a lot of people will get frustrated when they go, these are all great products and they're making money, but I can't sell them, right? I'm not approved in that category. I'm not approved for that brand, or I hate that brand. I don't want to, it's uncommon. That's kind of crazy. But so I think it would be cool for the first thing I think we should do is open that up into the settings, Alex, and show people how to exclude stores. And also if people want to, exclude brands and categories, but also if they want to exclude stores. I know there's a few people that are uncomfortable with a couple of the stores that are offered. I don't really know of any off the top of my head that I wouldn't buy from. But some people don't like certain companies. So all of that stuff can be set up in Tactical Arbitrage. And then once you go there, once you get your settings properly set up, then when you set things like your minimum sales ranks and your margins and all of that, you're going to have better data. Because the whole point of Tactical Arbitrage is that it goes through so much data so quickly. So the more that you do on the back end like that to make sure that it's only giving you stuff that you can actually sell, it doesn't matter how much money it's going to make if you can't sell it, right? So if you get these settings set up right from the get-go, especially for you new people who can't sell these things, you're going to have an advantage. So Alex, I think it would be awesome if you started there today, and then we can kind of run into, I think maybe showing people what would you do if you had to show. I think people need to see results quickly. So I think if we could give them like, this is the most basic set of parameters you could use, and then plug it into some random store or whatever we're going to do, so that people can have a general idea.
I don't normally do this, but I actually did it was 20 past 9 and I just dropped the kids off at school, or daycare actually, school holidays, so some of the kids are home. But I just got home, I had a shave, and I thought, well, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to just poke around and see if I can find some deals so I can show people, how it is. And that way I'm not sort of fumbling during the live thing. And I'm literally that confident with Tactical Arbitrage now that half an hour before a live webinar where there's going to be hundreds of people on, I know that I can just find profitable deals. Like it's just that simple if you have an idea what you're doing. And I found 23 profitable items in 4 minutes. And I just put that search to one side and I thought I'll show that during the webinar. But anybody, and this is like a not complicated search. So this is what I want to show, exactly what you just said, a completely unfiltered, uncomplicated, very basic search to just find profitable items that you can put into your FBA store and make profit. All right. There's enough in that 1 4-minute search alone to easily pay for months of a Tactical Arbitrage subscription. So to me, that's what it's all about. First, you get your TA subscription back, and then everything above and beyond that is gravy. So do you want me to share my screen at this point? Have you got any questions for me, Chris, at this point at all? And
I haven't. Everybody wants a TA shirt.
Oh, okay, no worries. Well, I think there's a.
Oh, what? Like one of these?
Yeah,
This whole
there
thing?
is an Amazon store link somewhere. I think if you type in Tactical Arbitrage Amazon, there's only one product on Amazon. And Chris, could you please also, if there's anybody got any suggestions, people like to chime in and tell me how I could make Tactical Arbitrage even better. Could you jot a few of those notes down for me as we go as well?
Absolutely.
You're a champ.
Alex, I might chime in. There were a lot of questions that were asked on the thread, but I think it's wise to just share the screen and start with the settings, show them what you found, and then I'll kind of try to feed in these questions as they're relevant to hopefully be a little bit slow.
Or jump into the settings?
What's that? Yeah, I would say let's start with the product finds, and then we'll go into the settings because I think for us to talk about the parameters for the main searches, I think it's important that you have your settings tight, so you're from the get-go not saying crap that you can't sell. And I think a lot of people skip over that part. And there are a lot of settings to handle. So I think webinars like this will be a great time. And if you guys are watching, I hope that you're logged into your accounts. And if you see how we're doing this with the settings, that you go ahead and do it right now. If you know that you're gated in a category, knock it off from the sites. If you know that you're not going to source below 200,000 in toys, set that parameter up right away. Whatever you want to do it while you're watching this so it's fresh on mind. And if you have any questions, we might be able to answer it live.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So one Be Live restriction I'm noticing here is that it only allows 3 things in the broadcast at any point.
I'm going to cut my camera.
But I think I need to actually, Oh, Chris has popped out. So I'm going to send mine up. But I'm still going to need you in here, Nate, I think, so I can hear you. Because I don't think I'll hear you otherwise. So I'm going to send you back. And Chris, sorry to put you on the sidelines there, but I don't think there's an alternative. Is that cool? So can you still hear me, Chris? No, I don't think you can hear. Can you hear me, Nate? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen if you can, Alex. I can hop out.
Can you hear me okay? Guys, I can't hear you. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I'm going to need you up in here, Nate. Just bear with us, folks. Okay, Nate, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, that's good. I need to be able to hear you while I'm doing the show. So this should be showing my screen now.
Yeah.
And I can hear you. That's cool. And I think we had to eject Chris, unfortunately. Sorry, Chris, but that's just Be Live only does 3, not 4 people. Okay, so this is the product search page. And can you just confirm, Nate, with me that everybody there is seeing this page and they can hear me okay?
First, can you hear me all right still?
Can you hear me, Nate? I can't.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? All right, Nate's not confirming that he can hear me, so I'm just going to go ahead. There's a delay, is there? Okay, so I just want to try and get a conversation going with Nate here so I can not be flying blind. I'm going to come back to the chat and just see if you can hear me. So I'm going to take this solo if I can't hear Nate anymore. So I'm going to come across to the Be Live and can you just tell me that you guys can hear me right now? Yes, we can hear me now. Okay, so we'll just continue working here, and hopefully Nate can come in at some point and let me know that he can hear me okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Awesome.
Okay, fantastic. Phew.
You know what was crazy is you were answering me, and I heard myself, but it was literally like 30 seconds delayed. So you were talking to me in my answers from like 30 seconds ago, and I was sitting here listening to him. I was tripping out. It was insane. But we're good now. Go ahead. I won't leave you again. Can you see me in the video, or am I gone?
I'll just come back. Yeah, I can. No, I think everybody can just see full screen now. So everybody can just see screen, but I can hear you perfectly, which you need to be as part of the broadcast. If you duck out of the broadcast, I lose you. So okay. So stay in the broadcast. We'll just keep the share screen solo for now, and let's go over this search. So I kind of just picked a random store. I know there's a few sales on at the moment. I think Macy's got a really cool sale on at the moment, and there's some stuff around. And normally I try and find my sales. Using resources such as Sean Mayer's got a good one called Step Ahead Group, which actually tells you all the current promotions on all of the sites within Tactical Arbitrage. So he's good to reach out to for that. But I ducked over to Walgreens because I knew they were having a 10% off sale on some vitamins, and I thought, well, let me check out this 10% off sale. But before I managed to get to that, I just scrolled down a little bit and I saw this buy one, get one free. Now, I literally just clicked on the first one that my mouse went to, which was over this side here. Now, buy one, get one free means that's 50% off, okay? That's not rocket science. You know that buy one, get one free means you're getting 50% off each unit. So I'm going to come across to Tactical Arbitrage. It's set for USA to .com. If you're in the States and you're just selling on the United States, you don't need to modify that at all, and I won't overcomplicate it by explaining any variant on that. But I will just type in here Walgreens. I'm going to put the category in there. What is this? Easy bulk. We'll talk about that later. And I won't do anything else here. Now, there's lots of stuff I could do, and I will cover a lot of these settings afterwards. But just for this very basic search, I'm just going to select Walgreens, put that category page in there from the URL on Walgreens, and I'm going to fill in one filter. Now, I always go on about how the most important filter is source price adjustments. And it is, because this is going to directly affect your return on investment. Nothing else is going to affect your return on investment calculation as much as this filter. So, store price reductions. It's 50% off this particular range of products. What else do we need to know? Over at cashbackaholic.com, and you can also get this information off that Step Ahead group I mentioned earlier. And also, Christopher Grant has got an extension called Rev ROI, which is currently getting updated. And after the update, you'll notice that it can easily get you all of the cashback and gift card percentage details for every store in Tactical Arbitrage with a click of a button. So he almost has that ready to go again. The extension is called Rev ROI. You click it and it'll just tell you what's got good cashback prices and what's got good gift card prices. So that's good to know. So Top Cashback is a popular one. There's also this one called Lay Money. I'm not signed up to Lay Money, but you may want to sign up to the ones that give you the highest amount of cashback. Top Cashback is common enough to use this as my percentage calculation. So 12% cashback. I'm going to put that in there as well. Our cashback site essentially means that if you use the link, if you use the certain link at the store, like say at Top Cashback, then they will credit back to you 12% in this case of the purchase price, and give you back refund checks over a period of time. So at the end of the day, it is very much a tangible amount coming back into your account and is very necessary to build into your calculations. So it's 50% off so far on the buy one, get one free. We're going to get 12% cash back from Top Cashback. And we're going to be cheeky and use a gift card that we purchased in advance from Gift Card Granny. In this instance, we can get a gift card from Gift Card Bin for 13% saving as well. All right, so these vitamins are basically free at this point. And I'm going to do nothing but hit submit. Now, there is a bunch of filters in here which we will go over, and I do want to cover this page in full. Even I'll try and keep it brief when I do, and but I want to touch on each filter quickly, or the most important filters at least, so that you can see how you can modify this search. So let's just hit submit and see what happens. So I haven't done a lot. All I've done is I've spent a bit of time on the source price adjustments page. I've ducked over and I've made a couple of small investments on some gift cards from Gift Card Granny. And if I don't use the entire balance in one hit, there's a very good chance that I will during my next Walgreens purchase. And so it's important for you to start keeping an account of and a stock level of gift cards at these discounted prices, using sites such as Gift Card Granny or using tools such as Rev ROI to help find what is the best and most profitable discounts that you can get on the sites that you need to shop at.
Alex,
yep.
Alex, another thing worth mentioning is we get asked a lot about should you allow your VA to make purchases for you and stuff like that, right? So if you buy, instead of giving your VA, a credit card with a $20,000 limit, you can give them a gift card with $500 on it that you got for $460, right? So not only are you going to actually be getting a little bit of a discount on the stuff you're already going to buy, also if you decide to trust a VA with it, which is your call, you can do that and not worry totally as much that it's going to get out of control. Worst case scenario, you're out a gift card as opposed to a credit card.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of these guys who likes to wear as many hats as possible because I don't trust a lot of people with my tasks, and I do use outsourcers for a lot of things. I use very heavily screened, very high end, and professional at a premium price outsourcers and contractors from sites all over the internet, not just Upwork, but sites like Guru and Freelancer, and it's very important, I think, especially when dealing with your money, to make sure that you're using the right person. Trust is a big thing, sure, but also you need to know that this person can think laterally and think very intelligently and make decisions that you would make yourself, because there's only so many stuff-ups that you're going to be able to weather if they start making bad purchases on your behalf. So I am all for using contractors. I'm all for using virtual assistants. But when it comes to the subject of my money, I tend to make all those button presses myself. But it's up to you. If you've got that magic person that you would trust to babysit your kids that you know genius, then feel free. But me, I'm kind of wary. I've never found somebody yet that I'm willing to trust with my credit card. So that's up to you.
Would this be a weird time for me to ask for some money?
Oh man, you can have my credit card.
All right, sweet.
That's cool. You're different.
All right. It wouldn't be like a borrow.
What we found. Look at all this amazing money we just found. So what's happened here? I've been mixing up my column order. Okay, so my column order might look different to yours because I like to play around with this in my test just to make sure that everything's dragging and dropping okay, and that I haven't got to go and put a bug report in. For the most part, it looks like I've got it in some kind of an order. We've got the domain as Walgreens. The title is there. I'd like to have the products side by side. Now over here, I've got the Amazon buy box price details, and normally I would have the purchase price details here. So I'm just going to set the order to default and save that. And I'm going to pop my images together again. That's the most basic way of me getting it back to the way that I like it. I can see that the price of this vitamin is $21.99, but you take into account your buy one, get free, your cash back, and your gift card, and we're looking at $8.42. Moving along, it's selling at Amazon for $21.98. Return after fees is $15.68. And that's outlined here with this new little funky little green question mark, which tells you how Amazon's calculated that and how they're going to take money from you. And it tells you at the end of the day how much profit you're going to make on this item if it sells. Now, is it going to sell? Because I'll tell you what, some filters I didn't put in there. I didn't put in filters about rank, how often it sells, and that kind of thing. I can see there it's got a sales rank of 57,000. I much prefer to look at the average rank over 90 days, which gives me an average rank of 98,000. Now, in a category like health and household, 98,000, I would still expect some semi-regular sales. So mousing over the little keeper graph here, I can see those beautiful green spikes, and they indicate sales. So at that price and with that kind of a discount, and assuming that I'm the only person who found this item for the day because I just ducked in there and found this item and I was going to go and buy it, and I'm now making $7.06 per vitamins. And I can tell that these are a perfect match.
That was one of the questions. That was one of the questions we had, Alex. Was people were wondering which is better? Do I have a horrible echo?
The what? Sorry.
Do I have an echo right now?
No, you're good.
All right, sweet. Somebody asked earlier today which is better, the current sales rank or the average sales rank, and I said for the most part, average is going to be better. And just as a rule of thumb, I mean, if it's not selling, sales rank is relative. Do not die and live by sales rank. But if you have a product that's saying it's selling daily, that's something that I take those sales ranks a little bit more seriously. If it says it sells once a month, that you need to take with a grain of salt, even with the 90-day average or with an average or the current. There's so many factors that could go into that. So sometimes you need to expand even beyond that if you're doubting if the product is going to be good. And at that point, you're going to want to go to keep and maybe even, and then as we get into Q4, if it's a product that sells every year, you could even go into Keepa and see how it sold last Q4. So there's a lot of things that changed, but now is a great time to make those mistakes because you can. There's a lot of forgiveness in Q4. A lot of stuff that would not sell during Q1 and Q2 is going to sell during Q4. So it's a good time to make some mistakes because you're going to probably regret spending not enough on inventory during Q4 as opposed to making a few mistakes that sit around until Q2 or something. But go ahead, sorry, man.
No, that's excellent advice. I was just having a look here in relation to that rank information. Sometimes Tactical Arbitrage cannot extract the average rank. In rare cases, we cannot get that data. So you'll see down here we've got 0 for this average ranks. I noticed the columns shifted a bit where I didn't want them to there for a second. We'll check with my developers about that. Every time I use TA, I look at little things we can do to fix, enhance, etc. So it's fixed now with a page refresh. So you'll see how the average rank here says 0, but we do have a sales rank. So what happens if you're doing a search, if you're filtering by average rank, and we cannot find an average rank, our filter will default to the current rank. So you don't actually lose that product. In the case that it's 0, we still actually check the current rank to see whether or not we can save that product for you or not. So so that was just a little algorithm we stuck in there. You can also analyze a product further by doing Tactical Edge, which is this little microscope button here. So by jumping in there, I can sort of see who's selling this product, and for the most part, see whether or not they have many items in stock. Now, we're just introducing a new algorithm which seasoned users will have asked me about in the past. Sometimes a place like, let's say this Quality Line Products, let's say he actually has 500 of these items for sale, but he only wants to sell 1 per person. Now, I wouldn't expect that to be the case for something like vitamins, but a very popular toy with a very high rank, I would expect that sometimes people put caps like 2 per customer or 3 per customer. Particularly Amazon does this, but I do notice that a lot of these sellers are starting to put caps. So sometimes this in-stock level here, saying 1 or 4, is not accurate. Now, we have developed an algorithm which will be able to tell us whether or not they have this cap limit implemented or not. So pretty soon Tactical Edge is going to actually have a little notification if the person actually has 1 in stock or if they're just capped at 1 per user. So we can get a more accurate indication of how many need to sell before you can list it at a higher price. And that's the whole point of this Tactical Edge room here. And this is what I really like about Tactical Edge, is that you might go to list it at $15.46, so you can get the sale. Oh, sorry, at $21.95, so you can get the sale before these guys. But the thing is, we can see that this is selling pretty darn fast. So if we know that there's only 1 unit, 4 units, another 1 unit. So let's say we're looking at about, a handful, maybe 15 units before we can list this item at say $22.90, then we can maybe list it at the higher price, let these guys sell out, and then collect the larger return on investment. And we have this extra column here to give you an indication on what your return on investment will be if you're willing to hold out for that higher price. Now, in some cases, it's more dramatic. In some cases, you'll see that this guy here has got like 2 units, and then there'll be a $3 or $5 price jump to the next guy. And rather than try and compete with this guy and do a penny race to the bottom below this guy, it makes much more sense to price above him, let him sell out his couple of units, and then collect $3, $4 more. See, one of the traps people fall into, and this is a newbie trap, is to start thinking with that fear of your item never going to sell, or incurring high storage costs by leaving it in there too long. And so trying to sell that item like so quickly that you're pricing 1 cent below this guy and then 1 cent below this guy. At the very least, I would suggest price at the same price as the bottom seller. Don't get into a penny race to the bottom. I know repricers do this, and there'll be people who argue with me and say, no, I would rather the turnover and whatnot. Well, you got to check your ranks, and you got to take that all into account, and you've got to have a look at, if you price at the same price as somebody else, what your standing is as a seller and how often you're going to get rotated into the buy box, and whether or not you should be considering that race to the bottom scenario, or whether or not you're comfortable in pricing either above the seller who is currently holding the buy box, the same price as the seller holding the buy box. And all of these kinds of, tactical is the word that we used when we built Tactical Arbitrage. All of these tactical scenarios need to be taken into account product by product. This is why FBA is not for everybody, because some people come into it and think, well, I can do this. But at the end of the day, you need sort of a little bit of an idea on how the market works, how the market shifts. For example, let's say this product here was just posted in a 150-person webinar. There is a chance that multiple people will now go and search for that product and buy it, and suddenly you're competing against not 15 sellers that are currently selling this, but maybe 30 sellers who are selling this. So that's where you need to maybe have a look at the number of sales, the frequency of the sales, whether or not you're willing to just sit on that product for a week or a couple of weeks while those people sell out, whether you want to just buy 1 or 2 units and go wide instead of deep. All those little variables. I wouldn't necessarily say walk away from the product, but there's instances where people buy lists, for instance, lists of products, and there's like those lists of 10 products go out to 500 people. And then there's just these races to the bottom. And this happened a couple of years ago before tools like Tactical Arbitrage came out. And these lists would go out and hundreds of people would get on like this one Disney toy. And you would know if it was Disney at that point. You would know that if there was profit on a Disney toy, if it started at $11 profit at the start of the week, it would be negative $11 by the time 100 people jumped on that item as well. So one of the best things about tools like TA is it puts that fishing rod in your hand, so you can go out there and you can find those items and find those items in a non-saturated format because you found them yourself, rather than purchase them off a big list where 100 people all found the same item. The other edge that you will have, and this is important, the other edge that you will have is how well you use this source price adjustments box. Let's say, for instance, you saw this deal, this 50% off deal. So you put the 50% off in there, but you didn't put that 12% there. You didn't put that 13% there because you didn't bother to source a discount on a gift card. You didn't bother looking into or signing up for any cashback sites. You didn't really want to educate yourself on what a cashback site was, and you eliminated these additional discounts from your search. Now, your return on investments are going to look much different. So some of these would still have risen to the top because they're a really juicy little sale at Walgreens there at the moment. So some of these would have still risen to the top. But see, the gross return on investments here, we've got an 84%, 161%, but that's a pretty steep rank, so it's probably not selling real fast. I probably stay away from that 161% one there, but you got 65. See this 65% one, for instance. By the time you pull out that 10% and 13%, it actually does all the return on investment adjustments. This is probably going to be looking at more like a 15% return on investment or less. It's going to be. It may not appear in your search. If you've set Tactical Arbitrage to only show you items with a profit of over 20% ROI, then this product here may not appear on your search, but it will appear on people's search who've connected that extra couple of dots into the equation. And that's not many dots. It's just see if you can also add a gift card and a cashback to the equation, and always look for the discount for that category and put that in there as well. So without going through every single one of these products one by one, it's a cornucopia of cash just sitting there in that one search. And that is before even examining all of these sales that could potentially have profit. These ones here, buy one, get one 50% off. Do a little bit of math. That's actually 25% you want to put in that box here instead of 50. And think a little bit laterally like that, and you'll definitely pull some profit out of this. I want to say at this point as well that that is one category of one store out of 600 stores that are in Tactical Arbitrage from one of the 5 ways that you can make money using Tactical Arbitrage. There's product search, there's flips, there's reverse, there's library, there's wholesale. And every day I talk to my developers about making this system easier in each of these categories to get to the cash. We've now got on-page filtering, so you can start fine-tuning exactly the profit ranges, exactly the domains that you're interested in. We've got export as per the screen, so you can actually make this all nice and pretty as a list yourself, and then if you're part of a group and you want to sell lists yourself, there's no licensing problem that Tactical Arbitrage has with you finding profitable items and then selling lists to people. So if you think laterally, there's plenty of ways that you can generate an income with Tactical Arbitrage as a business above and beyond the traditional search methods. Although in my opinion, nothing will get you profitable income better than simply operating these searches yourself and buying for yourself and managing your own little empire. We've been asked if we can cut off wholesale into its own thing, and that's in process, because some people who are into wholesale will never touch a screen other than wholesale. Our wholesale feature is now extremely comprehensive. In my opinion, it's really just lacking one thing, which is estimated sales. And I've got a meeting directly after this to go over all of the USA calculations that we've just finalized to start importing a new estimated sales column. First for USA, hopefully within the next week or so. And secondly, we'll be following that up with UK. And then after that, we'll look at integrating other countries such as Canada and whatnot. It's a complicated algorithm. We want to get it right. So that's coming soon too. Estimated sales is going to be really juicy in Tactical Edge as well, because if you see at the top of the page here, this product sells 40 units per day. Then when you see in stock 1, in stock 4, you're not even going to worry about these guys. You'll just happily price at the higher amount, because these guys will be sold before your product even gets sent in, before it even hits the store. So knowing those estimated sales and having it integrated directly into Tactical Arbitrage on every page of TA is going to, so people are going to love the way to put it in. I should have done it a long life kind of gets in the way, plus 5,000. So Nate, get into settings, product search settings in TA. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get into that. Let me see.
I can flesh out the product search filters first before I go into that, just so that I don't jump around too much.
I feel like starting in the settings is important, just because I feel like it's like working from the back forward.
Yeah, sure thing. So in another window, I'm going to just open up my settings, and then I'm going to skip away from the MWS page so you can't see my MWS keys.
We did have an audio issue there for a second, but I think it's good now. Can everybody hear us fine? Okay, fine right now? I can hear you, Alex. So if they can't hear you live, it's at the very least it's recording. So guys, if you are just now tuning in, do not worry. You can watch the replay, if you want to call it. basically just like a Facebook Live, and it's going to be able to be played. You can scrub it to any point you want right in the group. And also we might download it and upload it to YouTube or something for just to repurpose it a little bit, get a little bit more mileage out of these golden info nuggets Alex is dropping on us. So yeah, guys, this is important. This is what I wanted Alex to show. It's important because if you are a new seller, I understand your struggle. You have a lot of stuff that you can't sell. That's fine. There's so much stuff that you can sell. Don't get frustrated because some of the things you find are good items and they're profitable, but you can't sell them yet. Eventually you'll get ungated, but for now in Q4, you can crush it with toys and a few other categories that you are going to be allowed to sell in. Hopefully you're allowed to sell in toys. So Alex, go ahead and show them how they can just get that stuff cut out right from the beginning so they don't even have to fool around with scrolling through a bunch of different products that they can't sell.
Okay, cool. So Nate's talking specifically about exclusions. So let's say, for example, you are not ungated. Is that the right way of saying it? You are not ungated in certain categories. So you may not be ungated in shoes. You may not be ungated in clothes. Did I hear that recently everybody's ungated in beauty and health? Is that a thing?
They've been opening things up kind of randomly, and a lot of people are getting in. I honestly don't know. It's been so long since I've had to do those.
Yeah, I've been hearing that periodically they're opening a window. I don't think it's permanently open. Maybe somebody can chime in on whether they've recently just been given a free pass into health, beauty. If it is currently open, if it is currently open to get ungated in health, beauty, and groceries and that kind of thing, please do so. There's plenty of good products in there with good ROIs, and you do want to be ungated in as many categories as you possibly can. So excluding from search simply means you might just say, I never want to see a prime pantry product appear in my search. I just don't want to see that, and I'm not ungated in clothing, shoes, and jewelry. And as much as I'd love to sell shoes, I'm not ungated yet. So don't tease me with shoes that I can't sell. And anything in here that you maybe don't want to sell, like there's no point for me in selling jewelry. I just don't like touching the jewelry market. Others might disagree with me, but jewelry is not an item that I've ever sold. I've sold in just about every other category, but jewelry, and I've only sold a couple of watches, so I wouldn't exclude that. But anything that you do not want to see in your results, you can put in there. And any brands that you are 100% unable to sell. So let's say, unless anything dramatically has changed, ASICS is a no-go. You stick that in there, and New Balance as well. So as you add these, I've done this before, ASICS, New Balance. So as you add these in there, anytime that these particular brands go to appear, it'll get automatically excluded. So you won't see those appear on the view data page. Now, use this sparingly, and I say that because you may be under the impression that you are completely ungated for Lego. But ASIN to ASIN, you might discover that you can actually sell certain ASINs of Lego. The same with Star Wars. It really depends on the listing, and it really depends on how well whoever decided to bar people from Star Wars products really like managed to put the flag on that particular ASIN. So I have trouble recommending this for all. There are some that are just a blanket ban. Like I would not sell Lush, for instance, not because Lush is particularly banned, but because Lush has got this annoying habit of trying to litigate people for selling their products, and it's just a pain in the ass that nobody really wants to deal with. So as a rule, I would avoid selling Lush, for example. And as you learn these things and you think, well, I just want to exclude those brands, you can go in here and you can manage these exclusions. Now, there's plenty of other settings that are in here which I would like to touch on while we're here. And I'll start from left to right. I won't touch keys, but in keys is where we're going to insert our MWS keys, and it's also where we're going to insert our storefront stalker key. Now, Nate, don't let me forget to talk about storefront stalker. I will touch on that when I look at the reverse search page soon. I knew today's webinar wouldn't be 1 hour, and I had a comment on a webinar. It was on YouTube the other day, and somebody was watching a YouTube video. And it's a webinar. Webinars aren't a 5-minute video where you just see everything you need to know in 5 minutes. It's a 1.5 hour rambling diatribe that covers a lot of golden nuggets in a reasonably short space of time in the grand scheme of things. It's like a lecture at a university. And this YouTube comment was like, "Oh my God, get to the point! You guys rambling. I don't know what you guys are talking about." And I was like, "Wow, lady, this is a webinar video." So I should have left it up there because it was funny, but I ended up deleting her comment. I censored her. So from left to right, there's the keys, then there's notifications. Now, notifications are, this is simple. Would you like your phone to go bing when you're searching? You can go downstairs and watch The Walking Dead and get a notification that it is time to go back upstairs and check your goodies. Then yes, you can turn that on and put your phone number in there. And that's the same with your email. Auto updates. Auto updates. This is a cool feature that is not used as much as people think. I can tell in the back end that only about 10 to 15% of users are currently implementing this feature. So what this is over time, you will be putting items into your saved folder. Now, let's say you want to save this and save this and save this, and they may not be profitable today, or they may be out of stock today, and you want to just know when this item comes profitable again and when that item is in stock again. And that is what this page is for. You simply get it to analyze certain saved folders that you tell it to. You say, please tell me when the return on investment is over 0%, 5%, 20%, and in stock, and alert me when products satisfy both the return on investment percentage and the in-stock criteria. Thank you very much. Then daily, or depending on how many items you pick, up to 4 times a day, you will get notifications letting you know whether or not items have come back into stock, whether they've become profitable, etc., etc. So everybody can hear me so far?
Yeah, I can. I haven't seen anything.
All right. Searching. Cache. Cache. So cache. Every page has its own cache. There's 5 days available of cache on product search, reverse search, library search, and wholesale search. And Amazon Flips, you can go up to 3 days. Now, what cache means is you will see live results. Let me have a look over here. On this page here, this was last collected or updated by a user on the 26th of September at 3:58. So that is not right now. That is data that somebody else used a live search on about a day ago. So Cache has allowed me to receive all of this information at lightning fast speed. So a page of results in very little time, because I was willing to make a small concession. I was willing to make the concession that my results would not be live, and up to the split second, my results may be a little bit dated. Now you might say, well, I don't want my data to be too old. You know, what if things change? What if Amazon prices change? That's fine. You can do a few things. You can either set this cache shorter to just maybe 12 hours. Now, the negative of that will be if the data is older than 12 hours, it'll revert to a live search for you. So you'll essentially be painting the new canvas for somebody else to come across and get your data. So you will incur the 4-second or in some cases just 1.5 second per product, or in some extreme cases, depending on the site, up to 7 seconds per product. to make those live searches appear. Now, cache is really fast. We're looking at 100 products per couple of seconds just appearing, just being sorted and worked out and calculated and categorized and distributed to your view data page. However, if you want live searches, sometimes you've got to suck it up and put up with a few seconds per product. And we occasionally have people say to us who are doing live searches, what's wrong with Tactical Arbitrage? I only managed to search 5,000 products in the last couple of hours. Now, I come from old school. Old school in this industry is 2 years ago, where you had to copy a title, take that title over to Amazon, paste it, then have a look at the figures on both of them. Then if you think that maybe in your head the calculation possibly indicates there could be profit, then you've got to go to an Amazon calculator, you've got to calculate their fees, and then you've got to put it all into a spreadsheet and say, bang, I can buy that. This is why Tactical Arbitrage was built, because I hated doing that. It took forever per product. So just to go through one category, you might as well give up a day. So now you can go through hundreds of categories in a day across a dozen domains or more. So the cache feature makes it even faster to do that. But if you want to go live only, then yeah, a few seconds per product. The other thing you can do is set your cache nice and long, like 5 days. So you know your data may be as old as 5 days old. But your plan is to update this particular product with the most up-to-date data by just selecting it and hitting update. Amazon goes through, Tactical Arbitrage goes through, gets us the most up-to-date data, and it tells us, don't stress, there's still 83% return on investment on this. There was a few minor shifts in the pricing and whatnot, but there is actually still profit in this. And that data is now up to the second. And you'll notice as well that in the last update column, because we did that, the last update column is now of this exact moment. And this is server time. So if that doesn't match exactly the time that you've got on your clock at home, don't worry, this is server time. All right, so hopefully this information is good and useful so far. So this is cache. I'm one of those people who likes to keep my cache long. Some of these have just been set like this for test, but I've got an admin status, so I can go forever cache. But I won't tease you with that. Search filters. Most people are going to leave this on FBA. If you're a merchant fulfilled guy, you can actually switch to that, and it will calculate those fees for you. If you're an FBA guy, don't worry. If it's merchant fulfilled, we don't cache that calculation, so you won't get bad data over here. We only cache the FBA data. Rapid search. Now, rapid search will simply skip any products not in cache. So if you set the cache to, say, 5 days, or let's say you set the cache to 1 day, and then the product appears it's 1 day and 1 hour old. Now, normally what Tactical Arbitrage would do is it would put the brakes on for a moment, quickly grab that item for you live. So it will take those 4 or 5 seconds or whatever it takes to give you that item live, and then it will return to the cached items that it finds. So we thought what we would do is add this little switch in here. If you're just a real fast-moving kind of person, you never want to see anything that's not in cache. What you can do is you can switch this to never deal with a live item. So it'll just, if it sees an item that it needs to do that live calculation, it'll just skip past it in a fraction of a second and just move on to the next one. Domain search alerts, search sets. Okay, so this is really if you're, let's say you're working with a VA and you want them to maybe only deal with pet sites, for instance. What you can do is just go through here and flag a few pet sites, and it'll just basically show you, say, these 5 items. These aren't actually pet sites that I've selected here, but what it'll do is I've selected pets here, right? So if I hit save, and I'll go back over to here, and then I come to my product search page. So my virtual assistant might log in here and see, oh, there's only 5 sites to choose from here. So it maybe just helps you with your instructions for them. Like in your searches today, just use the sites that you can see there on the website drop-down menu. And then the next day you might have a different set of sites for them to look at. Okay, now we covered exclusions. Rank filter, this is cool. You should use this. It's not switched on for me right now. But if you want to automatically remove ranks over a certain amount, but you are scanning lots of different categories in your one search, then you might want to set it with a different value for each category. So let's say here you go in here and you say appliances. I don't want to see anything over 50,000 in appliances. I don't want to see anything over 250,000 in automotive or 350,000 in beauty and personal. And you go through and you set all these, 15,000 in video games, and you set all these and you save it. And then what happens is, I've got to continue to move my page because every time I save it, it goes back to show my MWS keys. So I've got to quickly get it to the other window. So every time, so now when I'm doing a search, if it sees an appliance appear in my results with a rank of 51,000, it'll automatically filter that for me. Now this has affected my product search in the filtering section here. If I refresh this page, now that I've got that turned on, oh, I didn't save it, sorry. But it'll gray that out so that you can actually, so if I save this and save it down the bottom of the page here as well, so it saves those settings, then it will automatically use the set ranks rather than a rank that you insert here of say 100,000. Okay, so that is almost all the settings. The only setting that I am yet to show you is viewing limits. You don't have to worry too much about this. This is essentially if you want to just show a smaller amount of title here or a shorter title box here or a wider title box here. I've got it set up in a way that I like it. I like to keep my title box wide and show every single little piece of information. But if you're using an iPad, you might want to go in there and make your title box short and just have a cut-off bit of information that when you mouse over, or you don't have a mouse on an iPad, but if you get my point, you can actually buy back some screen real estate using the features in there. Other places you can buy back screen real estate if you're using an iPad would be to open and close the sidebar, manage the columns, switch off some things such as the Amazon UPC. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can switch off that you may not really care about seeing the domain because you know that that's a Walgreens page. And you can go through and you can just sort of see which items, like the brand, you might not care so much about seeing the brand, et cetera, et cetera. And you can actually bring that right down to a manageable width by the time you've finished setting it up just in the way you like it. Like that last update column, for instance, you probably never really need to see that. But it's there if you want to see it. That is mostly the settings. There is another thing called the global matching game in the settings, which I won't go into now because the global matching game is evolving due to a new algorithm coming in. So the information I gave you on that now would soon be defunct. Now, the view data page itself, I'm happy to say that 90% or 80% of those videos have been created, and they're short, they're concise, and they're all available to watch on the dashboard. You just go here, new design videos. Pretty much anything here is new design stuff. Now, there's more stuff coming. I've hired a guy. He's going to be sitting in here, and he's going to do some stuff while I make these videos. He starts next week. So this list here will get bigger. And I had a thought last night that we evolve this tips and info pop-out, which many people don't use, into a bit of a Tactical Arbitrage University pop-out where the videos for each page will appear here, depending on which page you're on. So if I'm on the product search page and I don't know about something, I might pop open this and play one of the video filters, the videos related to that particular topic right there. And I think that would be super useful for people. And it's maybe a better use of this tips and info box than some of the outdated information that's currently in there. So back to the product search page, and sorry if I've been rambling. I hope that, shoot me questions if you want. Do you want to shoot me a couple before I get into the rest of the product search filters, Nate, or should I just knock this on the head?
I think we've got some good momentum here.
All right, cool. So let me go over the key filters for this page. If you're super new, you may not want to deal with a title search. Now, a title search means that, again, this information will soon be old. We have rewritten the title searches, and we are getting some phenomenal accuracy that will blow away anything that we ever had before with title searches. But as it stands right now, UPC matches means UPC matching the barcode number with the number that is linked to that particular product in the Amazon databases. It is UPC to UPC. Usually it is an exact match. The only variable being that sometimes Amazon uses the same UPC, but they're talking about a bundle. There might be a 3-pack of toothpaste. So the products will match, but you'll need to go in there and update the quantity in your view data, which is easy to do, and I've lost the view data page. But that is what this button is for. When you're new, you might want to avoid seeing any title matches because sometimes title matches have mismatches and inaccuracies, and just see the UPC. Now, when you click this button, what will happen is this drop-down menu here. I've still got those. Just going to quickly fix that domain set back to all domains and save that. And come back to here and just refresh that. Okay, so now you will see, actually confused it for a second there. Now you will see that every single domain here is a UPC only domain, which means that we can, in a lot of cases, extract the UPC from the product page and match that against Amazon. So there's a lot of stores there. It's well within your rights to play around in the UPC, and you'll probably be able to live in there forever if you like, because there's that many. But if you want to expand your horizons, especially when a sale appears at your favorite title match only store, then you can certainly turn that off, and voila, you will now have all of the title searches stores available to search as well. But you should go in there with the expectation that some of the matches may not be as crystal clean as the matches that you'll get with the UPC stores. That's just part of title searches. And as I said, we have something coming which has been coming, honestly, since November last year. I've been working on this. The algorithm is insane, and I am loving the results we're getting from it now. And I count the days until we can release it. So you have picked your website, UPC. Let's assume we've done something before, like the Walgreens. Now you can put a start page and an end page. If you know that there is like 2 pages of products there over at Walgreens, let's say that this has got, say, 12 products per page. It's 36 products in total. You can put page 1 to page 3, or we just like added to this feature where you can just leave it blank. Now, Tactical Arbitrage will automatically assume you want 1 as the first page, and the last page is just going to wait until it can't see products, and then it's going to just move on. So if you want to be particular, you can enter in page 1 to page 3 here, or you can just ignore it and just leave that blank. Importing a bulk category. This is if you want to. Actually run like 50 categories in a row while you go downstairs and watch some Game of Thrones or something like that, or spend some time with the kids, or maybe you want to work on a different aspect of your business, etc., etc. you can actually set this to just scan like 50 up to 500 categories in a row, and it'll systematically, one after the other, up to a maximum of 60 hours worth of scans, go through these. Now, some people actually bundle in a big list of categories, and then they tie that in with using the rapid cache search only feature, and they just let it plow through thousands of pages of products, and just only looking at that cache stuff, only looking for profitable ROI stuff. And they set these enormous bulk lists, and they just let them run, and they come back, and they just start examining what's in the view data page, what out of that is actually profitable, and what they want to keep. So you can totally put tactical arbitrage on steroids by combining a few features. By itself, single searches, you can see that a single search by itself, I found profit today with just one URL, one scan, super simple. Profit was there, and that was going to be time consuming for me to go through that and make the buys, and that could be a good day's work for me, even just doing that. No university education required. But you can go in and actually run these huge lists of stuff and rapid search it all, and go through and find hundreds of pages of gold. And that's where you might want to bring in your virtual assistant to sort of filter through possible mismatches. Just confirm that there is actually profit. Make sure that the items do look like a clean, solid match with not much competition. Looks good in Tactical Edge. You might want to bring in some virtual assistants to really escalate your game at that point. I'm just one of those guys when it comes time to actually do the credit card purchase. It might be me who does that once I look at the list that they sent me. So use that, and here's something super cool that's coming. Now, I'll mention that last. I'll go through these filters first. Source price adjustments we covered. There's state sales tax there if that applies to you. You can always use a prep house, like I recommend Prime Zero Prep. Brendan Sullivan's got an excellent prep house out there in a 0% sales tax state. You can buy back some of your day-to-day life by allowing a prep house do some of your prepping and shipping for you. And then you can leave this sales tax section blank if it's in a 0% sales tax state. So that's good information. Remove. So this is where you say, I don't want to see that product for this reason. So I don't want to see that product if the rank is over 500,000 or 300,000 or category dependent, 100,000 or 50,000 over shoes. You could use that setting we discussed before where you actually set all of the ranks category to category. And then it is one of the few filters that I definitely do use, because nobody wants to see a 1 million ranked shoe. You definitely will be wasting your time with that. But also I totally agree with what Nate said before. Ranks are subjective. Sales are much more important. And when the estimated sales feature comes in there, we'll try and also implement in there a new filter that says remove if this item does not move more than 3 units per week, for instance. So that will be a good little extra filter to put in there so that you can have an idea of how often your product sells. I definitely use this, and you can set it to remove current, average 30-day or average 90-day ranks. The best way to use this, I think, is with the setting I mentioned earlier and average of 90 or 30-day ranks. There's a lot of these that I barely use anymore because I don't mind competing if the numbers are good. So remove products if the number of sellers is more than. I used to always set this as remove products if the number of sellers is more than 50. But then I realized I was actually limiting some really good products with super good profit where the 49 of the people were priced for good profit, sure, but there was still excellent profit in those lower couple of people. So I only use that in some cases. It's there. Remove third-party sellers from results. This currently works for Walmart. And actually, I believe I should update this because I feel like it works for Sears now as well. Remove oversized products if you don't want to deal with oversized products. Some people don't. I'm not a fan, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that say if there's profit in the numbers at the end of the day, they do not care, and I totally get on board with that. removing out-of-stock products. There's reasons to use this filter and reasons to not use this filter. If you remove out-of-stock products, then sure, you won't see anything appear, or you shouldn't see anything appear in there that is currently out of stock, and therefore that won't get in your way of buying these profitable items. However, seeing an out-of-stock product isn't such a bad thing, because you could save that item if it's got profit, and then you could set up your auto alert system, which I showed you earlier, and get it. You could say, well, look, this has got an 80% ROI when it's in stock. So how about I just set up an alert on there just to let me know when it comes back into stock, and then because I've got the alert system set up and I'm tracking this now, then when the email comes in, I'm going to have that edge, because I can go in and then I can buy that item, because I can guarantee you right now that not many people, I can see it in my data, that not many people are using those auto alerts. So that's another way that you can get an advantage over other people, by using that kind of feature. Remove if Amazon contains no weight or size data. I actually tend to use this. Sometimes Amazon doesn't have a weight or a size, and so it can't calculate the fees correctly. So particularly if you're in a non-USA country, I would use this feature, because for USA, we faked it a little bit. What we've done is we mark the price in red on the fees. Let me see if I've got it in there. I'll see if I can find one. All right, so no, these guys all have weight and size data. If it didn't have weight and size data, then when you moused over here, it would say there's no weight or size data at Amazon. These prices would be in red, and we inject a 1 pound artificial box as the size, so that we can actually create the calculations. And then rather than collecting the FBA calculations from Amazon, we do our own maths, and we tell you, okay, well, based on a 1 pound box of these dimensions, a large standard size, 10 inches by 8 inches by 4 inches, we can tell you that we think the fees will be approximately this. But of course, that model isn't going to work for all products, and so you can get a guess of what you're going to get a return on at the end of the day after Amazon takes their fees, but it's not going to be accurate. See, the thing is, Amazon actually does have that weight and size data built into their networks. Otherwise, they could never pay you the accurate amount. However, on the surface, it's non-available, non-extractable information, because it was never inserted properly. So they know it, but it's not there for us. So in that case, in those rare instances, they'll be in red. So I find those particular products kind of annoying, because I need to know to the cent roughly what I'm going to, well, I can't say roughly then, but I need to know to the cent what I'm going to earn so I can make an informed decision. So I tend to use that, but I have had a lot of people say, well, no, leave it on, because you know, if there's still a really good margin and you've used that standard size box in there, then there's a very good chance that I'm still going to make that profit on there. So, you know, I always say don't over filter. So far, if you really want to keep it simple, put your store price reductions in there and set your ranks. You don't really need to put any of these in there so far. Remove if Amazon is also a seller and now in stock. We were asked for this filter. I'm not afraid of competing with Amazon. Never have I not sold an item, even if Amazon's on the listing. I've always sold everything. But some people do not like to be on the same listing as Amazon. That filter's there. These are self-explanatory. Remove if the number of reviews is less than a certain number of reviews, and remove if the rating is lower than a certain rating. I may tend to use this. I don't like selling under a 3-star product, because sometimes you'll get given a review based on the product. Like this, as a seller, you shouldn't be held accountable for a crappy product. All you're doing is facilitating the exchange, right? But what happens, right? You sell the 1-star product, and the vitriol that's coming from the customer gets like rained all over the place. And so when Amazon might send them a follow-up message saying, hey, would you like to rate ABC seller on their fantastic delivery of this crap item to you, they'll end up going, you can get these removed usually. It's not hard to get these removed, but it's a pain in the butt. So I normally tend to remove if the rating is too low.
That's a really good point, Alex. I think a lot of people overlook that, and I think it's a good deciding factor if you're on the fence. Like if everything else is close and it's not an amazing product, but it's close to something you want to pull a trigger on. If it's close to pulling the trigger and it's got a 1-star review, maybe pass. If it's got a 5-star review, let that be the deciding factor and move on.
Definitely. I do use this one. Remove products with an Amazon price of less than. In rare cases, you can get a $9 Amazon item that you've managed to pick up for 50 cents. Particularly wholesale guys, they'll not be as aggressive with this filter because they know that they've picked up this stuff 50 cents. They've done their fees. The rank is so good that they're going to be selling thousands of these units all day long. So they may decide not to use this. But for your everyday person who wants to make a pretty good margin, they're doing online arbitrage, and they may not have significantly high margins in there. For instance, I personally set this for $14.95 or about $15, pretty much. I kind of don't want to see any items that are under that. I have sold items below this with profit, but you might have even more aggressive stuff. You might want to say $25. Keep in mind, the more aggressive you make any of these filters, the less. And I do get this a lot. This is something that I get a lot. Over filtering is one of the biggest reasons for people to complain about tactical arbitrage and leave tactical arbitrage, and that's because of this. So remove ranks over, let's say, even 50,000. Remove products if the number of sellers is more than 25. Remove products with an Amazon price of less than $30. Profit and return on investment. Only keep data if gross return on investment is over 50%. Even just those filters alone can make the difference between you seeing no items at all or a bunch of items, depending on how you've set these. So let's say all these filters, right? They will function as you tell them to. So we've been asked if we want to overcomplicate this more and say, what about if you have this sliding scale that keep gross return on investment if it's 10% at this rank and 20% at that rank and 30% at that rank? And, in a future incarnation, we definitely saved all these notes. And in a future incarnation of Tactical Arbitrage, we may have a settings page which allows you to escalate your filtering factor. But for now, the on-page filters that you've got here, and I keep losing the view data page, but the on-page filters that you've got here, combined with the filters that you've got here, should be more than enough for you to make those informed decisions. But let's say here for this over-filtering scenario. So a 51,000 rank item comes in, right, at 200% ROI. You don't want that? So this item's 200% return on investment, but you've said, no, I don't want anything over 50,000 rank. Nothing, please no. And I would even go as far as saying 250,000 here. So a 251,000 ranked item, which sells 2 units per week, okay, depending on the category. And it's got a great return on investment. It's got 2 sellers on it. Nobody else is selling it, and you are not restricted to sell it. You don't want that? You sure? Because if you set these filters too aggressively, you will lose items. I would much rather spend 5 seconds looking at an item in the view data page and saying, yeah, no, I don't want that, than removing it before it even gets to the view data page. Sure, do some filtering, but keep them kind of realistic. I would go as far as saying, I only set my gross ROI data here. I set that for 5%. Why do I set that for 5%? Because let's say it's only 5%, and I don't want it now, right? But prices might change, and it might become more than 5% later. I might want to track that using my auto alerts feature. So, and I would set this. Make sure your ranks are where you want them to be, and then add a little bit. So let's say your max toy rank that you're willing to accept is like 300,000. Like put it to 350 or 400,000 or something. You'll get some 370,000 ones come in that just don't sell very well, and you just go, I don't want it. But at least you got to have a look at it. And then sometimes Keeper can be a funny beast. Sometimes Keeper can be like saying 370,000 for an item, and then you see a couple more sales than you would have expected in that same time period. So this is why you want to use that average 90-day rank instead. So this guy here, he lost a whole bunch of stuff, but his friend did the exact same search. He left number of sellers blank. He set this for, say, $15. He set this for 5%, and he had this at 350,000. The first guy saw no results. The second guy saw 20 results, or I don't know, even 5 results is better than none. So just keep that in mind. Remove products if Amazon title contains the word. Okay, so this is like, let's say you never want to see the word bundle. The word bundle in an Amazon title drives you up the wall. If you see the word, now don't get me wrong, bundles can be an extremely profitable path, and you should be thinking very carefully about removing anything from your results. But let's say this is you. You're a person and your model is not to ever include bundling or sets or packs. Then you can go bundle, comma, set, comma, pack. And if during the search we see that the Amazon title contains these words or a part of these words in the title, it will remove that result. Remove product if Amazon buy box is not at least X times the store price. This was from the original Tactical Arbitrage. This is sort of an archaic filter now because every other filter kind of covers it at this point. And when we very first started TA, we hadn't fine-tuned our algorithms. We didn't have cache. It was kind of slow to get to your results. We found a way we could eliminate half of the search process per product by having in this filter. So I may even remove this filter. So what it basically did is that if it could kind of see that the buy box price was not at least 2 times the source price, we just kind of chucked it away. So my favorite was to set it for 1.7. So if it was $10 at one store and at least $17 at Amazon, it would then go on to do all the rest of the calculations at a time cost of a few seconds to do that during a live search. So it's kind of a little bit of an extra check. These days, it's kind of a confusing filter to even have or explain because TA is essentially pretty damn fast. And I may go on record now as saying that this filter may disappear in the next 24 hours because I'm not sure it's as useful as it once was. For seasonal buy box prices and calculations, use this average price date range. All right, so you're looking at backpacks because there's a backpack sale on at the moment, but it's not really a good time to sell backpacks because everybody's already at school. But hang on a minute. What did they sell for? These same backpacks, what were they selling for last year during back to school time? I want to have a look at the average price during that month. So you can set this month and then you can buy your backpacks during the sale because you can see that the profit margins are there during back to school times, and then maybe stick those backpacks in a cupboard at your house and then send them into FBA at the right time. So you don't need to necessarily miss a sale which is related to seasonal items if you can see that that item is going to sell with a high profit margin during the correct time of the year. So that's what this filter's for, and this was suggested to me by a guy called Matt Colvin who's just had a little daughter, and it was really nice that he shared a photo of her on the TA wall yesterday. And if you're listening, Matt, hope everything's going well with little Kimberly, and it was really great that you shared that with the group. Source titles. Very similar to Amazon titles. Remove if the source title does not contain. Okay, so it's a bit of a reverse one. So let's say you really only want to. So sometimes the Kohl's category, for instance, might be toys, kids, or whatever, and it's just one big bunch of toys. with all brands mixed up in there. I'm just going to kill Skype so that doesn't pop up during the talk. So let's say it's got all brands mixed up in whatever site. Let's say Fat Brain Toys might be more possible for this scenario to occur. But only the Lego has a 30% off sale. So you just what we're saying here is if you don't see the word Lego on this page, I don't even want to look at this product. So you can then set your search here for 30% store price reduction, and type the word Lego here, and it's going to just look at the Lego items and apply that 30% discount. So it's a bit of a way for you to tailor make a particular targeted search that you're looking to accomplish. Costs. So you can either go into your settings and set these costs so that they are the same for every single search, so you never have to set these. So right now you'll see how this has just automatically come up with grayed out information, but I've got down there 80 cents per pound to ship to Amazon. So what you can do is you can, in my settings at the moment, I've got this set, right? So let's say you're using a prep service like Prime Zero Prep, or there's another really good one called FBA Prep and Ship in Oregon, in a 0% sales tax state. So let's say you're using Prime Zero Prep or FBA Prep and Ship, and their standard product prepping is $1 a product or $1.20 a product. Depends, it changes over time, you know. But for oversized products, they charge you like $3.50 per item. They might have a bundling cost as well. Okay, so you put those amounts in there, and it'll automatically calculate that in your return on investment calculation. Now, profit and return on investment. I actually tend not to use this. Only keep data if gross profit is at least a certain amount. But you probably should use that if you don't want to deal with $1.95 profits or something like that. You might say, look, only show me something if I'm going to make $3 on it or more. Only show me that, and you might think, well, $3 is still really low, but don't forget, by the time you're finished, you've probably gone into Tactical Edge, had a look and seen that the gross profit that you can get if you wait for a couple of sales and you've done all your checks and balances, you might say, well, hang on a minute, I can actually get $6 out of this. So be conservative with this. You might. I just leave it blank myself personally. You might want to put a couple of dollars in there, and then when you look in Tactical Edge, you might say, wow, I'm never going to sell more than a couple of dollars on this because Amazon's my lead competitor. He's got $999 in stock, which means more than $999. Their price looks like it never changes, and it's always $2. Okay, so in that scenario, you're probably not going to have much of a chance finding that edge. But in many scenarios on that page, you will find an edge. So be careful that you don't lose a deal by putting too heavy a price in here. Gross return on investment, like I said, I keep my filters so low because I would rather delete on the view data page than delete stuff during the search. So I keep that about 5%. Other filters. Now, this is a cool feature, okay? The one over here I'm looking at on the right-hand side saying also show reverse search results of more sources. So let's say, for instance, we've done this search before, this Walgreens search, and we found it for a profitable amount, and it's 37% return on investment at Walgreens, but we've got this switch here as well for UPC stores. If it finds the exact same product in our databases with the exact same matching UPC at, let's say, Vitacost.com, then and it's also got a profit that meets our criteria, then it'll also put that row on there. So we get Walgreens 37% and Vitacost might only have 17%. But we are seeing both of those on our view data page. So it'll analyze our database to see who else is selling it and is there a profit. Now, we put UPC stores as the recommendation. Again, doing title stores, that's where you're going to see more mismatches. occur, but if you want to see all the results and look for yourself, then you'll definitely find some gold in amongst the title store stuff as well. Newbies, again, I would recommend just clicking the UPC stores and having this UPC setting on up here. Now, no match results. Okay, so no match results are essentially any items where we cannot find a match on Amazon against the item that we've found. I probably wouldn't play with this too much unless you're really looking, let's say you're really looking for some stuff to list on Amazon that's not currently on Amazon. Then this is a good reason for you to operate this. If you're running a search on a store and you want to try and also find the stuff that is not existing on Amazon so you can build listings and whatnot, that's where you might use that feature. So I'm not going to tell you not to use that because your reasons for using it might differ, but be sure to select this and read this, because you might not be getting a match simply because the item is out of stock on Amazon at the moment. But we are not finding it in the API, actually. That's the reason for this. So also show Amazon out of stock results. Okay, so this is actually a really good filter. This is if you have found an item against Amazon, but Amazon doesn't have any stock. It's got a stock level of 0 across all sellers. So you might want to then restock that ASIN with the products that you found. But there is a warning on this one. You might, on occasion, be excited to see Amazon is out of stock. This is not always the case because sometimes the ASIN will match against more than one ASIN. Now, we've just added a feature which will show you the other ASINs that this matches against. So in the view data, you might see one item is out of stock, but there is an item that is currently selling and in stock. Okay, so so the only time that you should really get excited is when you see an Amazon is out of stock, but there is no other match in Amazon. So let's say there's a packet of vitamins and we are matching against Amazon. There is no item, there is nothing in stock, but there is also no other ASIN that we can find that matches with this UPC. You may be onto a winner at that point, being able to be the only seller of that item. So it just occurred to me then as I was speaking that this filter has become more useful since I added in that new algorithm, which now shows you any ASIN that matches against that UPC in Amazon. And this is particularly for UPC products. So this is particularly for seasoned users. That might be a light bulb moment for you guys as well. If you were not, because a lot of people don't use this filter just because it just doesn't really tie into their model. But if you were not using this filter, you may want to use this filter based on that new algorithm that's in there that shows you any ASIN. All right, so that is the product search page, and that's in full. So that may be enough for you, what we covered on the view data and what we covered on the product search. I'll field some questions, but before we go, I want to go into reverse, want to do 5 minutes on each page, a reverse search wholesale, without going into such a comprehensive look at every filter, but just giving you an overview of what the pages will do in general. And also talking about how Nate McAllister's Storefront Stalker can unlock those pages to bring you in an even greater level of speed and profitability on the searches using that tool. So if this is enough for you, if product searching and view data is enough to get you going, that may be all you need. But if you're interested in what these other pages do, then stick around. And I'll answer any questions at this point, Nate, because my throat's a bit sore and I can't give it a break for a second.
All right, is everybody seeing the screen all right? It's kind of jumbled for me on my second computer. All right, there's a link to Tactical or to Storefront Stalker that we're about to talk about. If you guys are interested, that's a link. We don't have a discount tonight. We did a huge show the other night and we gave away a lot. if you hunt hard enough, you might be able to find a discount somewhere in your email. But yeah, no Easter eggs tonight. Alex, how about we start with a couple of people have asked about Keepa. So for Keepa, I recommend that you, well, there's a lot that goes into Keepa. The best thing I've ever found on Keepa was a book by Stephen Smotherman called How to Keep a Camel. It is a great comprehensive overview of how to read Keepa and camel charts. It really pays for itself. It's not free or cheap. I think it's like $80 or $90, but look for that. It's a great way to get ahead, and it's not super long. But as far as Keepa and Camel go, Alex, do you want to talk on those for just a little bit, or just for like 1 minute, just maybe give away some takeaways?
Yeah, sure. So Keepa,
it is extremely important that you guys integrate Keepa and Camel. It's gonna make sure that you're gonna buy more of the right products and less of products that are just gonna sit on your shelves, because sales rank alone is not enough. So Alex, if you want to just touch on that for just a second.
Okay, so Keepa is a really cool extension to install on your computer. You should look for that on the Chrome store. If you don't have it already, you should install Keepa. I use Keepa almost exclusively. Some people use Camel as well. Camel gives a similar kind of a chart to what you're seeing right now with Keepa. It essentially helps you indicate a history of sales and a history of price. Because they're similar enough that I can just talk about one over the other, I'll talk about Keepa. Now, Keepa will, as you can see on this graph here, there's that blue line. That blue line is a history of pricing. So you can see during the last few months, it has gone from around $20 up to around $40, and then back down to around the $22 mark where it currently sits. The green spikes particularly interest me, because green spikes indicate sales. And you can see when it jumps up to $40 that the sales slowed down. The big sort of lumbering spikes would the sales rank would, see, that's sales rank actually. I should specify that sales rank spikes usually indicate a sale. So if a sales rank suddenly changes from 200,000 and then goes back to 100,000 in one foul second, then that is an indication a sale has been made. So that is the reason why the sales rank histories usually look like these jagged sawtooth lines, and in cases where the item is selling well, it is a really, really rapid little jaggedy line. As you can see, even recently, actually, it's interesting because this particular product back in July wasn't really selling very well, but it was at a cheaper price, at around that $20 price. You could see it was sort of making sales, a couple of sales a week. But just in the last week alone, even at this higher price, you can see that the little sawtooth there is going off. So this is for resveratrol, and it could be something as simple as Dr. Oz has just done a big thing on resveratrol, and it's selling well for that reason. So there's a lot of contributing factors as to what can create price spikes and increased sales, including what's happening in the world, and not just seasonal reasons such as Christmas. So Keepa has a lot more data than just that. And you can really get into Keepa. But what you should do initially is just eyeball that graph. See, that graph there doesn't look too exciting to me. It looks like the item was really only introduced to Amazon in the last few days, and it hasn't necessarily even made a sale yet. This item down here, however, ticking along, making regular sales at varying prices. It doesn't seem to really matter what this is priced at. It still seems to make a lot of sales quite consistently. This item here, we're only really seeing one sale every couple of weeks, or no, one sale a week, I'd say. You can sort of see down the bottom that from July to July the 16th, it sold 2. And then when you get really, really high selling toys, for example. Let's say I just delete this product search, and I'm going to do just like a little target.com toy search. Submit. All right, so if I go over to view data, so these will be really fast selling toys. And I haven't even checked return on investments or anything, but you can see that the graph on these sorts of things, so it's a bit hard to indicate. It's a bit hard to indicate just how fast it's selling there, because it's kind of like downwards pressure on the rank every time it makes a sale. But because that's climbing over on the right-hand side there, it appears that maybe it's not selling. But the thing is, it's such a high rank that it needs to maintain its position a lot faster by making more sales. So the sales on the item has slowed down a bit, but they're still there, and it's actually getting the rank to a more reasonable kind of rank. But I love looking at keeper graphs. If you want to explore keeper graphs more, you should definitely install the extension, and then when you go over to, say, the product on the page, you can get a lot more information on page as to exactly what's been happening with this item, and you can unlock other little features here, not just new and sales rank. It'll also tell you if Amazon's been selling the item as well. I can try and find one.
Yeah, definitely install that free extension. The Keepa extension is great to have on your Amazon pages. All right, so do you want to?
Just want to show this one graph, because this one is awesome. This graph is awesome. Amazon Flips is buying from Amazon and selling back on the same Amazon listing, and people do this a lot. This graph's cool because it says when Amazon is in stock, this item's selling for $7.97. Okay, now this isn't a very dramatic example, unfortunately, but in cases that Amazon is not in stock, and you can see when Amazon goes out of stock because a little bit of orange disappears, right? So this is only FBA sellers that are selling it, or merchant fulfilled sellers that are selling it when Amazon runs out of stock. And so you can look at these graphs and say, well, Amazon was in stock, then they were out of stock. When they were out of stock, people were selling it for more than Amazon was selling it for. And in some cases, that's really dramatic. In some cases, these Amazon's in stock for 5 minutes of an item, and they might have a list price of $12.99, and they go in stock, they sell it at $12.99, it goes out of stock, and then it's $60. And then people still buying this item because it's so hard to get. They didn't even know. Customer didn't even know that Amazon was in stock ever. All they see is they've come to Amazon, it's $60, and they buy it. So Amazon Flips is well worth getting into. Reminder, you cannot use a Prime account to purchase items that you're going to resell on Amazon. That's something that you should definitely be aware of. Before I leave this page, sorry, and then we will leave this page, and I'll go to touch on. I've just touched on Flips. There's a whole page on Flips, but we'll touch on reverse library and wholesale very quickly as well. This easy bulk thing for existing members and for new members as well. This is super, super exciting. It is going to be like this. I normally would enter in a URL, which is cool. It's a good way to do it. It's a good way to find the exact URL that you want to scan. I would normally go in, enter that URL, and then scan that page. But, and this is a bit of a game changer, really, you're going to be able to go bags, backpacks, add to bulk, click that button. It's going to build a bulk list for you, right? You can see on this mock-up, which is currently reaching finalization, that it'll say use easy bulk down here, which will be the current one that you're working on, or a saved one that you saved earlier, and how many you've currently got, how many rows in this bulk category you've currently got set, and then you can submit that. simply by just selecting bags, backpacks, and then clicking add to bulk. Now you might say, hang on, backpacks is going to have a whole bunch of subcategories. No problem. Backpacks might have subcategories of men, women, and then you go into that again, and then there's more possibly. But let's say there's a whole bunch of extra levels here. If you just click bags, backpacks, and it encompasses 25 rows, it'll just add those 25 rows to your bulk list. Just like that. Now, you say, well, what if I just want to do a bit from 6 p.m. and a bit from, say, 1,000 bulbs or whatever? That's fine. You can mix and match domains into one bulk. And you go, and then you might say, well, what do you mean you can manage these? Yeah, sure, you can save it. You can name it. You can remove rows from it. You can manage your lists. You can decide to work with that particular list right now that you've created, or you can decide not to. And now we've created this whole system with our developers, and the data that we've got is being injected into us, both manually by work that my own developers are doing, and also in conjunction with Tactical Bucket, Javier San Juan, who is injecting data via API to keep the category lists populated and up to date. And it is a real game changer for getting to start a search very quickly for newbies who would otherwise struggle finding where to source the exact URL, what sort of style the URL's got to be in, et cetera, et cetera. For those people, just being able to select the category that they like, hitting submit and running a search is going to be a huge time saver. Okay, so moving on from that, we've touched on Amazon flips. Buying on Amazon to sell to Amazon. Then we've got reverse searching, reverse flips, and library. Now, reverse searching I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like when you look at an ASIN from Amazon, and that ASIN might be of a pie face toy, for instance, and you've got that from Amazon, that ASIN, and you want to like look at the price that it is on Amazon, the price that it is at every single store in our database that sells pie face, and to see whether or not on this very moment today you can make profit by going and picking up pie face from Target and selling it on that ASIN listing at Amazon, right? If you're using product search, you should also be using reverse search because it's so easy to start a search, and it's so similar in a way to find online arbitrage products. So the best thing about this page is Storefront Stalker, which is an add-on product from Nate. There's 2 tiers to that product. You can either buy it so that it works just in Tactical Arbitrage and nowhere else, or he has another level, which also is attached to a Chrome extension. The Chrome extension is super cool. You can go to people's storefronts. Let's say this one seller's been giving you the heebies because he keeps trying to undercut your prices and whatnot. You can go and scan his entire storefront, extract all of his ASINs, run them through reverse product search, see what's profitable, and then buy up big. That's up to you. I'm not necessarily endorsing or condoning that kind of behavior, but you can certainly do that. You can also use it in a way which is may be better for your conscience if you so desire, which is go just do some complicated searches on Amazon, filter it down, filter out the star ratings that you're interested in, filter in the search terms that you're interested in, and then extract all the ASINs from those results, and then import those directly into reverse product search from there. Reverse product search is really cool. I love it. A lot of people, this is their favorite page to search on, particularly when running it alongside Storefront Stalker. And it works inside TA like this. I want to search baby products. I want to search baby and toddler toys. And I want to add in a few settings here, a few filters, and then I hit submit. And I say, I only want to see this kind of profit. And by having Storefront Stalker in there, I was able to select entire categories. And if you use the root category, it's like 100,000 ASINs it'll search. And if you use just a subcategory, you'll get about 3,000 ASINs if you want to do more of a targeted niche-based search. And already it's going through and it's searching our databases. It's looking at which stores stock that product that we're aware of, how much profit there is on those products, and whether or not it's worth adding those items to a view reverse page. Reverse products evolving. We just added in here the other day a thing called quick keyword search. So it's certainly not as comprehensive in any way, shape, or form as Storefront Stalker. But if you wanted to just look up Lego Star Wars toys in toys, you can run a search on there as well. It'll find the ASINs from that exact search, and it'll let you run those too. So at the very least, when you are comfortable with tactical arbitrage to the point that you know that you're going to be keeping it, and you know that you're going to be using this as a business tool for yourself for the foreseeable future, at the very least, I would recommend getting the tactical arbitrage integration of Storefront Stalker. But Nate told me the statistics the other day. He says something like 95% of all people eventually read about the Chrome, what the Chrome tool features do as well, and they end up just selecting the level up version, which is the Chrome version, which also works within tactical arbitrage. So that's up to you. I didn't come on here to sell you stuff, but I only really like to put forth things that are of value. And anybody you can go and ask people who use Storefront Stalker and simply say, is it worth me getting Storefront Stalker? Don't ask me or Nate, ask them, and they'll tell you. And that's probably the best information I can give you on it. So reverse product's cool. Library search is if you want to, without going into, we need another webinar just on library search. Library search is if you want to buy books from Amazon merchant fulfilled sellers who are selling this stuff real cheap and then resell it on Amazon using FBA. But not just from that, there's also Barnes & Noble, Abe's Books, and some other book sites on there that you can buy from. If there's profit to sell it on Amazon, this tool, the library search, will tell you whether or not you can find those profits using a similar kind of search style thing, but focused just on books. Wholesale search is evolving beautifully. We've got a rapid search feature on here, so you can import a CSV of up to 100,000 universal product codes, and it will plow through those products. I think we're currently getting about a rate of 18,000 products per hour, providing you use the rapid search button on here. And it'll actually put that into a big grid for you, and it'll let you see whether or not the wholesalers that you've made agreements with and got their manifests for, it'll let you see whether or not it's profitable to sell any of those items on Amazon too. Now, I'm working hand in hand with a big wholesale guy called Eddie Levine, who I swear by his stuff, who is helping me fine-tune this section so that he would be proud to use this exclusively for his own self. And I keep going back to Eddie and go, how can we make it better, Eddie? How can we make it better? And he keeps coming back to me with things that he would like to see on there. And the one thing that he's saying is missing from wholesale, particularly at the moment, that would really satisfy him is the estimated sales functionality, which I'm working on diligently to include, not just on wholesale, but across every single page of Tactical Arbitrage in the very, very near future. So that is Tactical Arbitrage in a nutshell. In 2 hours, we managed to cover that. I'm coming back. I'm coming out.
Nice.
Woo. Wow.
Does everybody feel a little bit better?
You know, I sometimes wonder, I sometimes forget just how much stuff is in Tactical Arbitrage, because I build this all the time, and I just keep cobbling pieces onto it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a terrible echo, aren't I?
No, you're in sync and responding to me in time.
I'm getting an echo in my headphones. Oh, well.
I hope you got something out of this. it's been 2 hours for a lot of people. So if you're on the East Coast, you're looking at, 10 p.m. now? It might be time to wrap it up.
Yeah, we have about half the people still here. So that's pretty good. That's a good show, man. Everybody, there is a live replay, I guess. You can just kind of scrub back on the video and watch it. But yeah, that's about it for tonight, guys. You have any last? Can we start over? Rick says. You can, Rick. Yeah, awesome, guys. So I hope if you are in your trial that you do try to implement some of these things, go back and watch over it. If you have any questions, the TA community is awesome. People in the group are very responsive, not just Alex and his team, but other users. There's a lot of people that are very passionate. It's a very strong knit community. And, I want to encourage you guys to do that, to go out and practice. And remember, you don't need to master every single one of these things that Alex talked about. Alex made the software. He knows it like the back of his hand. For the rest of you, you'll get to know it more over time. And you don't need every single feature to make a ton of money. There's a lot of people that only use the wholesale feature, right? Wholesale sellers. There's a lot of people that use just the reverse search feature. There are so many different options. And over time, you're going to get more and more and more out of the tool. But for now, just keep at it. Get great at one aspect of it. Get your money back. Then start building it up here into Q4 and beyond. So Alex, great show as always, my friend. Any parting words?
Well, I think I'm going to go spend some time with my kids. That's my parting words. And maybe eat lunch. It's midday here. I'm genuinely grateful that so many of you stuck around. I would probably recommend any newbie who is struggling with this, if you see them say, I don't know where to start on the wall, can you link them to this, please, even if I'm not around? Because it's 2 hours and it's painful for a lot of people. But if they manage to commit 2 hours towards that, I think that in that last 2 hours, they should be able to get cracking with Tactical Arbitrage. I think we covered things comprehensively enough that most people should be able to generate income using TA based on this 2 hour webinar alone. And I'll continue working on the instructional videos in a more structured sense over the coming weeks. And absolutely. I'm really grateful everyone stuck around. Thank you so much. You guys are all legends, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Nate, for sticking around. And Christopher Brown, I'm sorry we had to boot you out of here, but thanks so much, man.
If you guys do buy a TA shirt, post a picture of it on the group wall, and I'll love it.
And we will also give you something. So, all right.
Yeah, maybe we'll give you something too. All right, see you guys.
See you guys. Cheers.